Welcome back, everyone, to the 161st Street Show. I am your host, Joseph Esposito, and today we are going to talk about the Yankees getting swept by the Milwaukee Brewers. So, quickly, I'm going to run through the games and just give a quick, brief recap of them, and we will kind of go into the positives and negatives from there. So in game one, it was one of those games from the onset. As soon as you saw what Mizorowski was doing in the first inning, you kind of just felt like it was curtains from the get go. You did feel like Max Fried's on the other side. You do have a chance. But as soon as the Brewers were able to scratch across those 4 runs in one of the most painful half innings of baseball so far that I think we've experienced as Yankee fans this year, where there wasn't an exit velo higher than 87 miles per hour by Gary Sanchez, and it was just a lot of weak contact, ground balls, slow line drives that just kept, finding grass. Max Fried didn't do himself any favors by throwing 8 straight balls to load the bases with nobody out in the first place. But, it was, and once that happened, it was lights out because Mizorowski, his fastball velocity was up. Everything across the board was up. His stuff looked disgusting. He was pumping 103, 104 and the first inning, and that he for the most part maintained it fairly throughout the game. Of course, there was a couple dips, and his dip is 99 miles per hour, so it's kind of an unbelievable pitcher. He really is a special talent. That was the first time I had watched him through a full game, so he definitely is a very special talent. So unfortunate game. Yankees end up losing 6-0. They were never in it as soon as those 4 runs came across the plate. Like I said, kind of you kind of just move on, and it was a relatively painless game to watch in a weird as a weird as it is to say, just because once those 4 runs came across, you're like, okay, they lost, move on, try to win the next two. Then you move on to game two. The Yankees got a home run, instant offense from the leadoff hitter and Paul Goldschmidt. So definitely kind of put the vibes back. So it was like, okay, the Yankees scratched across a run. Hopefully we're okay. You have Schlittler on the mound. Then Schlittler gets hit with a comebacker in the bottom of the first inning. The trainers are out there for a while with him. You're kind of like, oh, I hope he doesn't have to come out. It was stung by William Contreras. He got caught him flush. So he was able to, stay in the game, gut it out, able to go 6 scoreless innings, and it was a really impressive showing again by Cam Schiller. There's only so much you could say. He's just unbelievable. Just every time out, just gives you a fantastic performance. Doesn't walk batters, doesn't allow runs, doesn't allow hard contact. He strikes people out. He's just can't put into words how impressive Cam Schiller has been this year. Yankees were able to scratch another run across to make it a 2-0 game. As soon as Schiller came out, they bring in Hedrick, surrenders a home run to Jake Bowers. He was able to get through the rest of the 7th inning unscathed. 8th inning, the Yankees bring Camilo Doval. It's a questionable decision. I didn't love it. I get you kind of have to try different guys out, even if they, haven't been consistently having it. It's just kind of the nature of a 162 game regular season that you kind of just have to test guys out and see where they kind of fall. Unfortunately, we came out on the wrong side of this. The frustrating part was that they had I forgot. I believe it was Bryce Terang. Bryce Terang seemed like he was struggling with Duvall's velocity, and for whatever reason, they inexplicably call for another slider. He's able to, find a hole through the right side for a base hit. He steals second base. William Contreras then hits a ground ball through second and third, shortstop and third base to get the run in and tie the game up. Oh, it was so frustrating. Such a frustrating thing to watch. That goes to extra innings. Ryan McMahon gets a big hit, gets an RBI single. And then I feel like it's kind of being, not spoken about, but Aaron Judge getting thrown out there was so stupid. I get trying to take the other base, you assume the throw's going home, but if you're going to do that, you can't like the old baseball saying goes, you can't make the last out of third. It wasn't the most egregious base running error that, I've seen with the Yankees. Unfortunately, the Yankees have been prone to it over the past few years, but I think it's not being talked about how big that was. You had another chance. You would have first and second, so 2 outs. You had a chance to get another run across that, could have made a difference. Then the Yankees had Fernando Cruz come out. I know people were questioning the decision. Oh, David Bednar, threw 12 pitches in the ninth. Why not send him out for a second inning? He looked good. Guys, it's May 9th. You're not going to leave your closer out there and stretch him out for a 2-inning, outing. You kind of have to be as much as you want to play to win, you also do have to have some sort of mindset that you cannot, risk players getting injured. Like, relief pitchers just are not built up enough to be, especially your closer, to be going 2 innings this early in the season. So I have no problem with Boone, going to Cruz again. You know, just walking guys, putting guys on. That Tim Hill, man, Tim Hill, what was going through your mind in that moment, man? I mean, you have first and second, you have one out. You get the ground ball. It's hit to the first base side. No, easy play to first. It would have been 2 outs. And man, instead you try to get the lead runner at third. Made no sense. Ryan McMahon wasn't prepared for the throw. Hits Luis Renifo in the head or the hand. It was just, I mean, it was just such a stupid play. And then they just get a sack fly and they win the game. It was just so stupid because they easily could have, gone out of the inning and, went to the 11th inning. And it was really frustrating to see a game thrown away like that. But the Yankees squandered opportunities in this game. I remember Spencer Jones had the bases loaded and nobody out. He struck out. Austin Wells, bases loaded, 1 out, struck out. The Yankees did get their second run off Paul Goldschmidt early in the game, getting a infield single, but they definitely just left the opportunity on the board. But to lose like that is just so frustrating. Then in Game 3, you would hope let's at least salvage the series. Rodon's back, all that. Judge hits a first inning home run. Rodon looks good, and the Yankees say, I forgot I can't recall they scored the second one because it was Mother's Day, so I was with family, so don't really recall they got the second run. But Rodon's command started slipping towards the third or fourth inning. He starts walking everyone. He ends up with 5 walks in the outing itself and only going 4 1/3 innings, surrendering the 2 runs that inevitably tied the game. And then it was just one of those games where it was 3-3. Jazz was able to tie it, and it just felt like which Yankee reliever is gonna blow the game. It was just that kind of feeling throughout the game. And Bednar gets the first 2 outs in the ninth inning. Gets 2 strikeouts. It's like, okay, looks like we're going to be going to extras. Hopefully, we can scrape across a run here. And then he just first pitch curveball to Bryce Terang, dead center field, ball game. Very frustrating series. Do not get me wrong, but the people freaking out about getting swept by the Brewers, and they're compiling that with getting swept by the Rays, and they're like, oh, we can't beat these, scrappy teams that are good, and all this, stud nonsense. It's May 10th. I'm not going to be freaking out when we've seen enough of a sample size of this team being good. Yes, you can say they beat this opponent, that opponent, whatever, but this is clearly a good baseball team. I don't know how you could argue that. Do they have, issues? 100%. The bullpen is 100% a concern, and that needs to be addressed. Hopefully, when Garrett Cole comes back, he did look good in his rehab start today for Somerset. They said he needs 1 to 2 more, give or take, depending on, how he comes out of this one. So, as soon as he comes back in the rotation, you slide either Weathers or Warren to the bullpen, and that's already an immediate upgrade. You probably get rid of one of, Yarborough or Blackburn or whomever in the bullpen. And, we'll see where it goes from there. But again, it's May 10th. I'm not freaking out. And if one more person quotes me with Yankees record versus sub 500 teams versus over 500 teams, there's 4 teams in the American League right now that are above 500. Does anyone think that's going to stand throughout the entire season? If it does, the entire National League would be above 500 because that just means they're getting absolutely pelted. The American League is going to get killed. It's not happening. I'm not concerned. There's no reason to be concerned. It's May 10th. Just breathe. It'll be okay. Now into the positives from this series. Not many of them. Go figure. I mean, you get swept. There's not many positive things to talk about. Good series for Paul Goldschmidt. Went 3 for 6 with that home run I mentioned in Game 2. His bats have been looking. They honestly were looking good throughout the whole season. He was getting a little bit of bad luck in terms of batted ball, but it's starting to turn for him, and he's looking good. So I hope he keeps it up. Paul Goldschmidt is definitely a luxury to have on the bench. I'm very glad they brought him back. I remember people were like freaking out because he was like the final piece of the run it back Yankees, and everyone was having a stroke about that. But he's been very nice to watch this season, and I have no problems with Paul Goldschmidt. Obviously, I talked about already. Cam Schiller, 6 runs of no run ball, toughed it out either to getting hit in the leg. Boone did say today he was sore, generally so, and had a big black and blue mark on his leg. Hopefully he it doesn't cost him any time. hope not, but you'll kind of, pay attention and see what happens there. Negatives, have to start with Spencer Jones. He looked overmatched in this series. He went 1 for 9 with a walk and 5 strikeouts. He did have some good at bats. Do not get me wrong. And having versing Mizorowski in your MLB debut when he's maxing his velocity higher than he ever has is just such bad luck. But he did work a walk against him, and the at bats in and of itself in Mizorowski were not terrible. But he did have a few at bats where he was just flailing at pitches. But that is who Spencer Jones is. He needs to swing when the ball's in the zone because his zone contact rate is low, and it's a numbers game for him. He has to just keep swinging at balls in zone until he connects with enough that it levels out with the misses. That's really just what it comes down to. This is his profile. This is exactly what I expected, to be honest, especially to start out. Wouldn't surprise me if he went on, a semi heater against the Orioles. The Orioles pitching hasn't been the best so far this year, so I would not be surprised if he, connects with, one or two against the Orioles. We'll see. Again, no long term conclusions I'm drawing from 3 game sample size, but it was a rough start. So I did want to mention it. As I mentioned, Rodon made his season debut. Positive from this negative. Velocity and stuff look good. His command was bad, which you have to expect when coming back from an injury. Yes, he was throwing rehab starts, of course, but MLB is a different game. Hitters are better. It's a lot harder to get them to chase than minor league pitcher or minor league hitters, I should say. And again, no long term concerns. I'm just happy his velo looked good and his stuff looks sharp for the most part. I would expect that it's going to take him a few starts here to get the command like 100% locked in. So just something to kind of keep an eye on, monitor. Ben Rice had a brutal return after he had a 4 game absence after he suffered the hand contusion against the Orioles on the Sunday game. He went 0 for 13 in the series. The positive is he did hit a few screamers today in the last game of the series, but some of the bats were very uncharacteristic for him. Like he was just whiffing on pitches he doesn't usually whiff on, and he was chasing a bit more. But again, you kind of tally that up to the 4 game layoff, and we'll kind of just see where it goes. I wouldn't expect that there's going to all of a sudden some sharp decline. But, just something to keep an eye on. My biggest gripe, and again, I don't want to go too over the top of this, is Jazz's performance is starting to concern me. I mean, I'm not going to let 40 game sample size overpower the good that Jazz has been the past year and a half prior with the Yankees. But when you look under the hood and you see, what his expected weight on base averages, his barrel percentage, his exit velos, his hard hit percentage, all that kind of stuff, and they're all like 20th percentile or lower, you do have to be a bit concerned. I mean, it definitely seems like Jazz has always had a lower expected, batting average, and he's never going to be a high average type of guy. So, I mean, he does have whiffs, he does have strikeouts. That is all, normal for him. But he's just, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what is off with the, maybe stance or just maybe something mental with him. I feel like he's like either striking out or popping everything up. Like he seems like he's getting under everything. I don't know if he's getting in his head because he made that big, I'm going to be 50 home runs, 50 stolen base. Like I could easily do that. He made that proclamation before the season started. So I don't know if that's, mentally getting to him where he's like, I need to hit home runs. He had a little good, I think it was like 2 week stretch somewhere here in the middle of the season. But other than that, it's been very bad. And I definitely want to see him start turning the corner. I want him to see him start, consistently making good contact, working good at bats, because that, those were the positives from Jazz Chisholm. He was able to, work his walks and, overall have a good, plate discipline. And then obviously the high slugging, the high on base percentage. So definitely want to see Jazz start turning a corner here because it is getting to the point where it was a back burner concern and slowly starting to move to the front. And if this kind of continues through the end of May, I am definitely going to be very concerned at that point. Looking ahead, the Yankees play 3 in Baltimore against the Orioles, who they just swept recently. Although the Orioles have looked a little bit better recently, so I expect a much, stiffer test from them. Definitely think the Yankees need to be locked in. They need to shake off this series and just, throw it out the window. It is what it is. It's in the past. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's make sure that, we keep racking up the division wins. That's super, super important. As we saw last year, we definitely want to put ourselves in the best position in the AL East. But that's pretty much all I have. Unfortunate, to get swept like this in Milwaukee, but it is what it is. I said, just, it happened, throw it away, move on. That's all I have for you today. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And let's go Yankees. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.